This is ILLUMENATE, the podcast about men with good hearts, open minds, and a desire to make the world better. Welcome to ILLUMENATE. I'm your host, Chris Tidrick, and I'm here with Howard Milton. Howard currently serves as the Chief Development Officer for Fighting Illini Athletics. In his 26-year career, he has directed fundraising efforts that have resulted in more than $500 million of philanthropic support. Howard is a proud father of 3 children and husband to his high school sweetheart. Welcome to the show, Howard.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me. This is exciting and can't wait to spend some time with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking about you being on the show for probably almost a year now, ever since I started this thing, and I'm glad we're finally connecting. For listeners and viewers, Howard and I have known each other for quite a number of years. I think we've known each other as colleagues. We both work at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, but we also were neighbors for about a decade. And our sons played baseball together. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I don't know that I've really had a great chance to get to know you more deeply. And I think this is a great start to that. So if you're ready, we're going to jump right into the questions.
Let's do it.
Okay, fantastic. So I always start out with like a big question, like what's your why? Where do you find purpose and what drives you?
Yeah, thanks for the question. As I prepped for this, I thought about some of those things. I'm most alive when I bring people joy. And so it's interesting. I don't know that was right. And you probably find this with your guests. I don't know that was the same answer at 45 years old or at 40 years old, but at close to 55, that's my why. Helping others find joy or success, helping folks find gratitude. And really the bad part, the other part about this is often reminding people and bringing them joy, but reminding people how blessed they are. And I get a lot of joy myself from that. So it's a win-win. I hope I'm bringing joy, and it also helps me feel more gratitude when I do that.
What does that look like on a daily basis?
Yeah, on a daily basis for me, because I talk to so many people in fundraising, I'll try to, they'll talk a little bit more about it, but I'll be being positive. I really take some time to be deliberate. I'll be deliberate in my pointing out that you're blessed, we're blessed, and we should be thankful and show gratitude. And I think that brings people joy. Certainly brings me joy, but I think it brings the folks who are in my orbit, right, joy as well. Yeah.
So you mentioned maybe that this was kind of an evolution for you. Maybe it wasn't at 40, maybe it wasn't at 50. It sounds like you're getting close to 55, just like I am.
Yeah.
And, obviously we're all made of our experiences. We all sort of evolve over time. So what were the significant moments in your life that made you the person you are today?
Yeah, I can think of a couple. Once was when I was in high school, I worked for this family. They happened to be from India, and they were both doctors. I went to kindergarten with their daughter, Usha, and they were both doctors in our town. I'm from a small town. My wife and I are from a small town in Kansas. And I used to do yard work for them. And I was in the yard with this lady, Dr. Samuel. We call her Shanti Samuel. She's passed away, and she was such a dear friend to me. And she said, Howard, I won't make her do her voice. But she said, Howard, I've watched you play basketball. That's surely not your goal and ambition. That's not going to work. So what about college, first generation college student? And I said, I haven't thought about it. Single parent home, very working class, poor. That's my way of saying I was poor. And she then pointed out that her and her husband would like to help me go through college and help write checks that my Pell Grant and Stanford loans and all the rest of aid wouldn't help. And that really was a motivator for me. So that's one thing that was a part of my journey that I just like to share with people. It's taught me gratitude.
Yeah.
And it's taught me to be joyous. And then the other thing, it's really interesting. So I started in the University of Illinois, and I started in event management administration. And I did that from 2000 to about 2006. And then I had an opportunity, Chris, to by the athletic director at the time, Ron Gunther, a guy by the name of Sean Wax, who played football here, was my boss at the time, and said, hey, I think you might be good at this fundraising gig. Mm. And Chris, I was scared to death. All I could picture was Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know,
yeah.
Thing about golf country clubs or Izod pants and penny loafers, the whole deal. And that's all I could picture, right? Poor kid, Winfield, Kansas, government cheese, the whole thing, right? It scared me to death. And I this is an amazing story. And so finally I set a meeting with someone on that staff. I won't use names. And at Le Peep restaurant here in Champaign, right off Neal. And I had actually, I'd prayed about it. Like, man, this is a big deal. We have, our oldest child is at that point 5 years old, getting ready to go to kindergarten. Do we try to move back home to Kansas, where we've got support? That was kind of the dream coming in. You know how this works. Nobody was going to be here this long.
Yep. Same for me. Like I figured I'd be here 2 or 3 years. I've been here 33 now. So
that's true. Yeah. I'm at 26, so no different. Something in the water. And so I decided, okay, well, I'll listen to them. I declined the job, and I'll listen to them one more time. So we went to breakfast, and this person did not show up. And 9 o'clock, the meeting was at 9:15 came, 9:20. By the time 9:30 came, I look up and went, thank you. This was my sign. This is not for me. They didn't care enough about it. And at that exact same time, someone walks into the restaurant and sits directly across from me with another person. This person's, I won't use their name either because they're in town, was as loud as anybody you've ever heard in your life. And they started talking about the exact same things about development. I had gone to the internet at the time, right, and just printed out fundraising and stewardship and cultivation and solicitation, these basic things. And I just wanted to know what the hell all this was, right? And this person sit down with the person across from them and started explaining all those same things. And I heard them, right, and went, holy crap, and looked and went, I think you're here talking about the exact same things. I tapped them on the shoulder. They responded, and I said, hey, listen, I'm supposed to meet someone here to talk about the same things you guys are talking about. This person invited me to their office that very same day. I spent 2 hours with them, and by the end of it, they had convinced me to take the job.
That's amazing. That's a crazy story.
It's a crazy story. And what I learned from that, Chris, is that the universe had something for me, right? God, the universe, whatever your viewers, had something for me, and it has something for all of us. But that was the first time when you talk about an impactful part of my journey, I went, oh boy, there's something for me. There's some things that maybe perhaps are even meant to be. And it didn't mean wild riches and fame. And I'm no different than anybody else. I think we all have these moments, whether we identify them or not. This was just such a slap in the face. I had to identify it. So it's one of those impactful stories I like to share.
So how has it been, you've been doing 26 years of philanthropy. How have you developed through that time?
Yeah. Become more confident. Maybe it was always there, but become more confident. I find myself in spaces, number one, where I'm the only person that looks like me. The only person that went to school on a Pell Grant, right? And so I think I've developed confidence. I think I've developed even more gratitude, right? Because I see so many people that have been so generous people. But the one thing I really leave the space that I'm in all over the country. My boss and I go over the country, and we're in the C-suites. We're in these extraordinary places with these extraordinary people that have been wildly successful. But it's brought me a little bit more faith in humanity, because I see all these people, and they're pretty good people, right? And they're just like you and me. They're trying to figure it out. They're on a search for truth, many of them, and many of the men are trying to be healthier and they're struggling with their families and being, either new fathers or aging father. I mean, all those kinds of things they're the same. Maybe there's more zeros on the ledger, but the struggle complexities are all the same.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that, because, I'm in the business school. And so I've had the pleasure of being around a lot of our donors. Yeah. And they're just like normal people. And I don't know that I ever would have thought that, because I didn't grow up with, like you, I didn't grow up with money. Yeah. And so wealthy people were always sort of this abstraction to me. And I've gotten to know a lot of them, and they're just like, a lot of them are really good people.
Really, it restores the faith
and generous. I mean, generous, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We can't forget that.
That's that's so true. We've heard about your journey. a little bit about your journey. And one of the things we talk about on Illuminate here is the idea of what being a healthy man in today's world looks like. So what does that look like to you?
Yeah. Have you ever, I'm a big Chappelle fan.
Okay.
And Chappelle's got this one bit, right, where he stops and he says, the other day I had a chance to do what many black men, and I just use it for any man, and I'm specifically men, right, in this country don't get a chance to do. And he pauses and he says, and I get teary-eyed every time he says it, and he says, think. Right. And that just hit me. So
dive into that a little bit. I want to know what that means to you.
Yeah, I think what you're doing, right? Just being aware, taking the time to freaking step back from this crazy world. I think it's all, and I think it's probably always been crazy, right? As for a man, the times change. Maybe it does seem a little crazier now than it ever has, right? Yeah. In my 55 years for sure. But just think, and what that means is, to sit back and self-actualize and become more self-aware and really think about our circumstances, those circumstances around you, and what it means, in fact, to be alive. And so that's one thing. I think the other thing for me is that, thinking about what we're designed to be, right? I do think that's joyous. I think we're designed to be, if we sit and think about it, designed to show love, to bring joy, to be good examples to others, men, women, children, other men. But I think what it looks like to me is that you just get a chance to sit back and take a breath. And I think when you do that, you're like, you can see some really interesting things. This world's crazy, and you see how mysterious it is, how beautiful it is, and how beautiful the people around you are. And so, yeah, that's for me.
So why do you think that is? Like, why do you think it's hard for men to do that? Because you're right. I mean, it feels like the second we scratch under the surface, there's someone there to tell us, don't go there.
Yeah.
And we almost self-censor each other a lot of times. Right. Yeah. So what do you think it is? Like, why?
Yeah, I think we're supposed to have the answers, right? We're supposed to have the answers. Who needs time to think about anything other than the next big plan, how you're going to make a business, how you're going to make a career, how are you going to go, okay, am I going to buy 2 cars? Am I going to get a bigger house to keep up with Bob Jones, and all those things? I think there's this expectation that we do have it all figured out, right? And I think some of this we do to ourselves, and some of it's just societal, right? But my experience has been, well, you're supposed to have all that down, and just the minute that you show any vulnerability, this happens at home even, right? Like the night you're quiet, what's wrong with you? Oh gosh, can I be quiet? And are you upset about something? No, I'm really not. I'm just thinking, and and maybe I'm not even doing that. I'm just sitting here right now.
Yeah.
And of course I'm thinking, but I'm not really, and so I think there's a lot of things there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about evolution earlier. And I have found in my own life and in many, many of the guests that I've had on this show, that this, to grow and to evolve, it requires us to throw away something that we held really dearly in the past. We've had to deconstruct something. A lot of times it's something about faith, but sometimes it's something about something completely different. So for you, what is something that, like, maybe earlier in life you just held on to really dearly and doesn't serve you anymore, and you've had to change?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's an emotional one for me. In fact, as you prepare things, I couldn't quite figure that out, right? And so being completely candid and vulnerable, I had to deconstruct that. I think that I'm judged by the people around me most oftenly on just who I am. I the last 4 years and then 4 years before that, I probably was a little naive in terms of what America really thought about people that were different than them. And I'm getting somewhat political. I know that's not the platform. But when I really look at this, everyone I meet from small town Kansas to big city Chicago goes, yeah, I just, either they like me for who I am. And I just had a lot of baggage about where I'm from, what I look like, if I'm smart enough. And I've really had to deconstruct that notion of myself and some of the baggage, and realize that I'm Howard Milton, a proud Black man that happens to be Black, and that most of the people I encounter, and I talk a high percentage of them, just take me for that. And I've been able to shed a lot of baggage and insecurities now that I'm embracing that. And part of that probably says more about me and what I've had to wrestle with and deconstruct, as you say, than anything else, right? For whatever reason, that was a thing for me that I'm starting to let go of and embracing. Just you and I are alike, more alike than not.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. I know that's it's a really vulnerable thing to share. So if I'm hearing you, what you're saying is you were carrying assumptions about the assumptions people were making about you.
That's correct. Yeah, that's a great way to say it.
And that you found by dropping those, you've revealed that maybe that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to minimize what you were experiencing before, because I do think that there are a lot of people in this world that do judge people based on, things beyond their control. But it's really interesting to hear you talk about that being baggage that you carried. Yeah. And has it made you feel lighter to let go of that?
It has, and it just goes down to controllables too, right? Like I am not naive. I mean, we've seen it. I could point things that I've just decided what I'm going to think about and what I'm going to internalize, knowing that I cannot control that attitude. I just can't. I need to be me and authentically me, and have my standards. I've not got a soft shoe and tap dance.
Yeah.
I've just realized that I'm going to let go of that for me. And if that is someone else's issue, I'll pray for them. I hope I put up a good fight with that, with the wrestle, but I'm not going to wrestle with that.
So I'm glad you clarified that, because I think I misrepresented you slightly there. I think what you're saying is you're just not letting that control you anymore.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let that control me.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a very special moment. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So where do you find or create community?
I'm searching for that. Really, I don't have that. I don't have that answer. That's a question. That's just, I don't know. Maybe through this next 10 minutes, you'll maybe get it out to me. But I don't know. I am very involved, right? Particularly spiritual in one regard, but it's not through a place of faith in terms of a church or something, if that's the notion. Because of the nature of all of our jobs at the university, I think you live it, right? So through my work, I've really found that, because it's one part, it's a lot of part work. It's always work, but there's this in fundraising, there's this really sort of soft spot where it becomes part of your life, right? I was texting with donors 10 minutes ago. Yeah. And if you're doing your work right, you're not talking about donations to the University of Illinois. You're talking about, how are you? Oh, wow. Because many of the folks, they're doing the same things we are, right? And so I don't have a good answer for that, Chris. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I've had the chance to interact with some of the fundraisers at the business school, and some more closely than others. And I get what you're saying, because if you're doing it right, it's not transactional, it's relational.
Right. That's right.
And so you become friends with these people in many ways. Like, it's a wide variety of people, and a large number of people, right? You don't raise $500 million in 25 years without being in contact with a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of folks. That's right.
But, let me dig a little bit deeper on that community question, because I'm fascinated by the concept of male friendship. Mm. And listeners are probably tired of hearing me say this, but like, it took me until really the last decade of my life to have really close male friends, to like open up to them, be deeply close to them. I've always had women as my closest friends throughout my entire life. And so what does male friendship look like to you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and I think it'd be interesting to find out how many of us have strong, deeply committed sort of male friends. You would think that I had tons of them, and I would say I've got 3 to 5 of them. And of that 3 to 5 of them, 2 are just in that, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's levels to everything. It looks like vulnerability. It looks like a whole lot of honesty. It looks like a lot of transparency, right? In my friendships, I do find it very difficult to say, man, I'm really struggling with this. It's either like, man, my wife and I haven't talked in 3 days. We're battling, or I'm trying to figure out, for me, a big topic for me now is how to parent young adult children, like literally adults. I mean, you're there too. Like, why do this, and who I talk to about it. And so I've talked to a friend or two about that. So it looks like that. That's what it looks like for me, the communication. I'm a phone nut, like not texting, but like pick up the phone and call.
Okay.
And that worked well in the 80s in Winfield, Kansas. It worked well a little bit, then I hit my 20s and 30s and this, that, and the other. And I find myself, Willie Mae Milton, my mom was very much a phone. I was raised by a woman who was on the phone, and I love it. And I'm running out of people to call just to talk about nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of touch. It's a lot of touch points. It's a whole lot of vulnerability and honesty and transparency.
Yeah, that phone thing is funny, because talking on the phone is one of my least favorite things to do. I used to love it, but I found that I need 2 stimulus almost all the time. And if I'm talking to somebody on the phone, I need to be doing something else. I would need to be walking or driving or whatever it might be. Yeah, I can't just sit there and talk on the phone anymore.
Yeah.
So we're at the point now where we're going to go into what I call the slow rolling thunder round. Used to be called the lightning round, but it's never that fast. So we're calling it the slow rolling thunder round now, where I'm going to ask you 12 questions. They're intended to be relatively short answers, but sometimes we'll dive more deeply into something and kind of get into it. So first question, what are your top 3 values?
Kindness, spirituality, and gratitude.
What does kindness look like to you? Like, what does that mean in real life?
Yeah. I think when you're kind, you're present. I think you're present when you're kind. For me, it's being a good listener. It's not just about giving, right? It's about, and maybe it's part of it. Part of that's giving, right? Like I'm giving you my attention and my time. So maybe it is about giving. I think it's being a good enough listener. And I'm trained to this in my job, to react to what I'm hearing in a way that's probably favorable to the relationship or to the person that's helpful, I guess.
Yeah.
The person. And that's not that you dropped your book, let me pick it up. It may be you need someone to listen to. You need someone to remind you of this. You need somebody sometimes, right, to hold you accountable. I think all those things are parts of being kind. And then the basic kindness, right? Like,
yeah.
Damn, I can say something mean. I want to say something mean, but
it's kindness is different than being nice. Like there's the real difference in that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's got more depth to it.
Yeah.
Kindness does. I mean, we agree on that. Yeah.
What's your favorite emotion?
Happiness. Yeah. Yeah. It's everything. I mean, happy people, to me, that's the only thing I can think of in terms of favorite. Just happiness. Yeah.
What's your least favorite emotion?
Anger.
Why? A lot of guys have answered that. Why for you?
It's not often reflective of how I really feel. It's coming from a different place. Right. I think when I'm angry, I love my wife, but when we're angry at each other, man, we'll say and do things that's not me. And that's not how I feel. It's coming from a different place. And so anger is just least favorite emotion. It's such a dangerous thing because it draws out things that probably aren't even they're there somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
I'm no therapist, but it's just often not reflective. And it can really damage a lot of equity. Right. That you've built up or that someone's built up too. And it's just a very dangerous emotion.
Yeah. I've always considered anger a secondary emotion. That there's an emotion underneath the anger. That's the real source of what you're feeling. So you might be feeling sad and it makes you angry. You might be feeling jealous and it makes you angry.
That's right.
That anger is this sort of secondary thing based on something else. I think you're kind of saying that by saying it's some other place, right? It's some other thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can you feel the most yourself?
That's a really easy one. In my favorite chair in our living room.
What makes that so comfortable? Aside from the furniture itself, what makes it so comfortable?
Because I'm in a place I never thought I'd have. It's nothing fancy. I'm never in a place I know that everybody in that place loves me. I've worked really hard to make it's our place. And I can look around at everything in there and know that, wow, I had something to do with it.
Yeah.
It's nothing to brag about, but for me it is. And it's funny because 5 years ago I'd have told you on a bank fishing at my in-laws. They have a great farm with a great place to fish. And that's when I'm in a dentist chair, hospital chair somewhere uncomfortable, I take myself back there casting on a spring day fishing for crappie. It's my favorite thing to do. And it's not it anymore. It's not it anymore. And it's,
thank you for sharing that. You're the first guest that's like truly hit me in my feels. So congratulations, man. Yeah, that's amazing. What's the one way you try to make the world a better place for others?
Being positive. Yeah. Just being positive, saying positive things, trying to do positive things so people see me. Just being positive. Something really struck me from a guy in town here named Antoine Neely, who's somebody I look up to. I consider him a friend, a good friend. I really look up to him. I really like him. And when he's having a real conversation, he does a really good job of affirming and listening with a smile. And I just think that is the coolest thing. And it makes me want to say more. It makes whoever, and it just makes the conversation. And I don't know, he may be somewhere else, but just that show of being positive. And when I've been around people that are generally positive, and it's interesting enough, you have them because of Geese, we share these people, the most successful and visibly happy, joyous people that look like they bring joy. These things seem to be true. To me, I don't know. I'm not going to their home every day. I'm not with them. They are really positive. And so there's a correlation there, I think, from, a little, maybe a small sample size, but it's my sample size, that they tend to be positive. And so the more I do that, and it's a win, and everybody that's in my range of contact, right? Boy, it's just a win-win. I feel better about it, and I think I'm bringing joy, comes back to that. And so positive, yeah.
What do you want other men to see in you?
Consistency.
Dive into that.
Yeah. I'm ready for this one. The most impressive men My father-in-law is one of these guys. My boss is one of these guys that I've been around are the freaking same no matter what room they're in. I am certainly like this as a younger man that was becoming a man, right? But you can take a guy out of the room and get with his high school buddies in a hole-in-the-wall bar, and he's all of a sudden something different. And then you can go take him away from his wife and put him at a football game, and he's all of a sudden something different. I get it. But the most impressive, what I want people to see in me, and I'm a work in progress, a long way to go, is a consistent man that's saying and doing the same things regardless of who's in the room, what arena we're in, what day it is, if it's cold, if it's hot. They know what they're getting from me. And that's hard, but that is a very impressive thing when I see a man like that.
So I will tell you, I ran into your boss the other day at the women's basketball game in line to get I think I can't remember what he was getting. I was getting a burger. He was getting something else. And he is the same damn person to talk to in line getting food as he is when he's up on stage. Same thing.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. It is.
It's impressive.
It's impressive, and there's no act. It is really impressive. And so it's really strange, right? There's this guy that's how many ever years younger than me. Right. And I'm like, wow, that's a real dude right there. And you don't see that much. And we're so proud. And maybe there's a competitiveness in a lot of us. I like to think I don't have that, but I know it's in there of you're no better than me on all these kinds of levels, especially in this arena. And so I'm, in that regard, tough to impress, right? Maybe I'm harder and more critical. I think I'm softening on that, but boy, when I see that, I'm like, holy crap. I mean, that just, and my father-in-law, he's the exact same way. We went on a fishing trip with a lot of buddies, and this is when I was in my 30s, and, flew into a lake, right? That whole deal, all guys for 7 days playing cards, and all these guys, there's 20 people. And I'm just sitting there in awe of my father. I'm like, you're no different if your daughter's sitting here. And I'd go to, they were big cards players. I am not. So I'd go back, read, lay down because there's no internet or anything. I'm laying back and I could hear him talk. And he was just saying, I'm like, well, maybe it's me. I'm in the room. Right. Same guy. And I just think that's really impressive. And I'd like people to see that in me, but I'm a work in progress. I've had this thing going on with men that I think are like that have this consistency, this integrity, that I'm just like, please don't do something that ruins that for me. Yeah. Right? Because it feels like every time we raise somebody up and put them on a pedestal, they do something and just like, oh, they're just like everybody else. That's right. But I think there are these men out there that I just can't imagine ever breaking that integrity. It's so important to them. That's right. Yeah. No, and I think we have to show each other grace too. Like it's like you're not 100% perfect, and I've got to remember that. Yeah. It's interesting because once you build them up, it doesn't take much to go, oh, see, and then that whole thing's ruined. And we know as being 50, getting 55 in our mid 50s, that it's like, no, I get it. No, you're still that dude. It's just, but you're not perfect. But boy, I'm pretty impressed by your consistency and by your integrity. Yeah. I'm not talking about like hitting a pothole. I'm talking about jumping in a chasm, right? I hear you. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So to that, I agree. Please don't jump in the chasm. Yeah, exactly. So what makes you the most proud of yourself? Oh, another easy one. Wife and kids. Be able to look and go, oh, hell yeah. Right. You know how it is when you see your son and you've raised your son and got the son I've got. You may have other kids. I just know your son. No, yeah, just one. Yeah. Yeah. And for me, it's all three of those kids. It's just, makes me really proud myself because I didn't think, yeah, I didn't ever see this, and I'm really proud and accepting them in their differences, right? And you think everybody's going to grow up and be this certain way, and this is going to be the path. Hell, I didn't follow it, right? Why would they? This path and the straight line to greatness, and that's not it at all. There's been no greatness and no straight line, and I'm so proud of the people. You know, I will tell you, I know you're got time, but I get a chance to go. I speak here and there at different things, and I went to our son played baseball here. So there's this youth organization, a travel team that played on, and that coach is awesome, and he has me come in and speak as somebody that had a college baseball player. And I tell them they're wanting these secrets and tips, and there's no secret or tip. I say this: raise kind kids. There you go. Raise kind kids. If he throws 95, even better, right? And then if he can throw strikes with the 95, awesome. There's nothing you can do about that. I don't know what that is. I don't know but raise kind kids. Let's talk about that. And so raising kind kids is like, if you've done it and we've done it, and you're raising kind people, it's just,
that is so, like, I had a point when my son was in elementary school, and within a few weeks, there were 5 different kids that told me that my son was their best friend.
That's awesome.
And I said, that's because he's kind, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So,
raise kind kids.
What currently is your greatest opportunity for growth or improvement?
Yeah, it's another layup for me. My spiritual growth. I want to spend some time in leaning into that a little bit. I've just been thinking a lot about it. I was raised religious, and Chris, I don't know if that means church every Sunday though. Right? I don't know what that means. That's coming from a kid. I know you got time, but that's coming from a kid that went to Lutheran elementary school, K through 8. My mom was Seventh-day Adventist that worked on Saturdays, the Sabbath, and I went to this pretty Bible Bridgestone Baptist church on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a lot going on there, and so I think I'll ever be trying to figure that out, and that'll always be something I'm wrestling with, And I'm also fascinated by, just this question of the universe entirely and manifestation. I mean, I'm just really thinking about some of those things.
Those are big things. And I think
they are. You don't have that kind of time.
I think it's, we're almost exactly the same age. And like, I think there's something about when I crossed 50, I was like, okay, best case scenario, I'm halfway through.
Best case scenario.
And you start thinking about the bigger things. You start thinking about meaning. You start thinking about, and I think that naturally just brings you into this kind of spiritual space of like, it's meaning. So, yeah. Where do you feel the most vulnerable?
In my chair at home. I know I'm boring.
Yeah, no,
I'm boring. That's the place. Nobody does this to me much, but I can sit there and have my wife tell me, you need to do this, and hey, go do this, and the kids will joke with me about, Dad said this. Oh my God, you didn't even know. And then I'm able to just be vulnerable. Yeah, man, I know you guys are right. I don't know how to work my iPhone, right? And I just kind of let everything go, and I'm okay being a punching bag. I'm okay. It's probably not me outside of those walls. It's kind of, woke up a little bit, especially in this profession. You woke up a little bit. I got this figured out. I got it. And that. And so it goes back to that brown chair that my wife would tell you just like every night. She's like, that thing just sucks you in. And it does, but I feel so comfortable there, and it feels good. So.
Yeah. What's the hardest thing about being you in today's world?
Yeah. Today's world, being authentic, right?
Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Authentic or setting boundaries. So I know those are two different things maybe, but, and in today's world, and I'm talking about current day America, for me, it's believing in knowing what at least my beliefs are and our standards, my beliefs, both political and social, and realizing that, hey, no, you have the right to yours. Love it. This is where I stand. And I talk to so many people, and I do what I do, finding a way to continue those beliefs, make them known if need be, or maybe it doesn't call for that, but still making them known, and then holding that standard, listening objectively, but still knowing, this is standard, and doing so authentically. And so that's the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that, especially in the profession that you're in.
Yeah.
That there's going to be a person that you disagree with vehemently.
Yeah.
If there will be, like, there just is. And yet you're tasked with building the relationship.
Yeah.
So that's got to be tough. What's the one thing that surprised you about today's conversation?
How little I've stopped and thought about any of this stuff. Like I said, to stop and think is important. And then I did this, and I'm like, my gosh, I haven't really thought about these things, right? And so I think that's probably, that's surprised me. That's one thing.
Yeah.
It's number one. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And another thing is how good it feels to talk about these things.
You, by saying what you just said, you have given permission to every guy that listens to this to do the same thing. All right. Last question. What advice do you have for men who are struggling to find their place in a rapidly changing society?
Take the time to stop and reflect on your journey, right? And stop and take a look at the world. Don't let this, man, it goes so fast. I mean, life has just gone through, right? We got here in the mid-50s. It is a blur, but remember that, but when we were pushing the kids in the strollers, well, that seemed like it took the days went slow, right? They say, and the years flew by. But take the time and stop and reflect. And as Dave Chappelle said, take some time and think. Set some core standards and stick to them. Be consistent, right? That's hard, but set some core standards and be consistent. And then number 3, and I've got to say this: prayer is real. Knowing that I believe that prayer is real, and that God has a plan for you.
Thank you. This has been a fantastic conversation. I end every one of these conversations by saying, keep up the hard work.
Wow. Thank you.
Yep.
You too.
So thank you. Thank you, Howard. Really appreciate the time today.
Appreciate it. Absolutely.
You can learn more about Illuminate at illuminate.substack.com. We are also streaming on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you at the next episode of Illuminate.